Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another day in Virus Land with Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. I'm your host, havokpus. Join along with me is my lovely co-host, Frozen. How are you coping with being quarantined, Frozen?
There are some good and bads with this. I do like working from home. I can spend my free time doing whatever I like, but the bad is I have now resorted to watching TV shows because
Oh,
I
you
am
poor
bored
man. Have you
sometimes.
run out of the streamies? Have you run out of things to watch on like Netflix or Hulu or whatever you subscribe to?
I actually never watch TV shows on my own, so no, I've not ran out, but
Oh, just out
the
of like
fact
sheer
that I'm watching
boredom,
it.
you're like, I have to watch like Friends or something just to like keep you occupied.
Oh, I pulled up Parks and Rec for the first time in a while yesterday. So me watching TV is a monumental step of boredom because
Ah, I
normally
see.
I choose almost everything over watching TV
Right.
unless
I
my girlfriend puts it on. So
I uh I I've never watched Parks and Recs. I've seen like maybe like a couple of episodes. I've never been a fan of the I guess like office style of TV comedy where it's like there you'll have a bunch of idiots doing stupid things and then it cuts to like their like confessional quote unquote time and then they always say like and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll say something funny," and then they make like the silly face and it zooms in on their face and it's just like it's a very tired format that got old for me very quickly. Like I'm not even a fan of The Office because I've seen episodes of it and I didn't find it funny at all. And I know lots of people are fans of The Office, but it just didn't do it for me. And it's not the kind of style of comedy that really that really jazzes me. So
yeah, I I like The Office. I've nothing wrong with either of them. I prefer Parks and Rec just because I've watched every episode of it at this
I've
point.
heard Parks and Rec is like a lot funnier than The Office.
I think they're different shows. I think I can relate more with Parks and Rec just because I'm a government nerd.
You work in
I
government,
live
so
in
you understand.
yeah I live in the Midwest, and I just I like how the characters are written more.
Right.
Um, so that's where I'm at on that front. How have you been holding up?
Pretty good. I've just been able to really dig into some comic book reading. I ordered some X-Men comics, and they should be getting here like by this weekend, I think, for the majority of it. And I've just been reading Spawn. It's a pretty crazy roller coaster ride because they'll throw in some twist, and then like the series will go in a different direction, and then they'll keep like throwing in little kinks and twists to kind of keep the story fresh. I guess my one issue is that like so I've been reading X-Men as well, and for everyone who's probably known, I've read it, starting from the beginning like a couple years ago. And the majority of X-Men is actually written by this guy named Chris Claremont. And what's really interesting about how he writes is that, and this is kind of apples to oranges, but Chris Claremont writes in this very methodical kind of like slow building action and getting everything kind of building to this one point. And there's this really big, great, satisfying like payoff and this big climax. And then as soon as that's done, there's some falling action, but then he's right back to kind of building up slowly and methodically like the next storyline. With Spawn, it's very much like stuff will happen, and then they'll just go in a different direction and they'll kind of forget about what was going on before. But like eventually they'll go back to it, so it's not like things have forgotten. But I'm not sure if it was planned or if it was like, oh wait, we forgot this thing that happened like 20 issues ago. We need to we need to like you know go back and respond to it so it's not so we don't look like idiots that we just kind of forgot about it. So things kind of happen, but it's fun. It's a very different book than I guess like X Men or something, but it's fun. I'm on like issue like 207, I think, out of like 300 and whatever.
Jesus, so you are doing some work on that then.
Oh yeah, I am getting some work done. It's pretty great, and I'm getting paid to do it too, so which is the best part.
Yeah, that is the best part. I've been trying to play Fire Emblem on the hardest level, but it's ridiculously stupidly hard, and
Oh yeah, I
it
bet.
takes me like 3 days to like beat each battle. So like it's almost not even fun at this point. But
Yeah, it sounds more
it
like
lasts.
stress than fun or challenging.
Yeah, I normally game for story in single player games, so the fact that I'm being challenged is so hard is frustrating.
Yeah. Well, enough about our boring lives. Let's get into some Cloud9 action. We got some minor stuff to start off with. Cloud9 World of Warcraft. They finished 4th in the Mayhem NA 3v3 thing that was going on. It was pretty good. I watched most of their stuff. They seem to be doing a bit more, trying to shake things up a bit. Usually, the team has kind of been sort of the Warlock Druid Ice Mage thing, but Snuts has been playing a bit more. They did some stuff with him playing as a monk. It was pretty interesting, but we got top 4, which I think is really great. There are some really good WoW teams out there, and sometimes the competition can be tough. But top 4, I think, is pretty acceptable and pretty dang good for what our team can do. Also on the docket, Rainbow Six played this morning. I know Rainbow Six is really difficult to keep up with, but they have played. They played against Scars. On one map they tied, and on the other map they lost 4-7. And Rose and I were actually talking about this before we started recording, but we were wondering like what Cloud9 can do to better, like promote the Rainbow Six team, because it's really difficult to keep up with them because since they're in Korea and they're a Korean team, it's the matches are announced, and that's like at like 4 or 5 in the morning maybe. So everyone in NA and in Europe are probably like asleep or busy, so they're not able to really participate and watch this team play. And it's a part of the Cloud9 organization, and they're a fairly decent team, at least from what I've been told. So it'd be interesting, maybe do some more things with the players, or just promote the team more. I would really like to see maybe some more match highlights at least, and maybe some stuff with the players rather than them just kind of they play and we see the tweet that's like, hey, Rainbow Six played today, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I feel like they should do a little bit more, just because it doesn't feel like they're doing anything. I don't even see the tweets, and I'm subscribed, and I have alerts on for all Cloud9 tweets. So
I usually wake up and I look at my phone and I see the notification, usually like an hour or two. If I wake up around like 7:30 or something, I'll usually see like a couple hours later, oh, Rainbow Six was playing. That's cool, I guess.
yeah, in at this point, I feel like I would actually watch it because I don't have much to do when I wake up. So, but again, I'm not waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I'd miss
Yeah,
it
exactly.
in anyway, I guess.
Yeah, I think I mean I would watch it too, and just watch like highlights and stuff, just because Rainbow Six is a really interesting game because it combines sort of the slow, kind of methodical, precision style of gameplay that kind of like Counter-Strike offers, but it also has sort of the hero shooter element that kind of Overwatch has, where like each character has their own kind of like weapon set and like skill set, and you have to kind of combine those kind of, and so it's like strategy plus like you're kind of having to draft your champions and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very interesting mixture of game elements, and I'd really like to watch it and learn more about it, but it's just Cloud. I'm partially only invested because Cloud9 plays, and when they're not playing, I probably wouldn't be as invested. Which is to say a lot for a lot of the other esports that they're in, but it's
That's
hard to really
true.
get into it when they're not playing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I wish they would just, or even if they had their social person post onto the subreddit, like
Yeah, yeah, just to like kind of
post
give like a
match threads
rundown
and
of
just
like how their
yeah,
week was or something.
yeah, just put like a post up and said post match thread. Rainbow Six does this, and then gave a quick 100-word summary of the game. I feel like people would look at it, but
Yeah,
not sure. I guess.
yeah. It kind of depends, but I think that at least help a little bit. But moving on, we have our boys in the CS:GO team playing in that Flashpoint League, and they won their division by they beat Orglis 2-1. Orglis actually has FNS on their team, who FNS for a for a very short time. For a very short time, he did play for us, so it's really interesting. It kind of got pretty crazy for that last map, but because we were up by a lot, and then I think, started to lose a lot of rounds, but we ended up winning 2-1, and we won our division.
It was close.
Yeah, I'm really glad that the team is winning, in Flashpoint, but also just getting more matches in and getting more wins, and it's showing that this team has a lot of potential. I think that this team can actually be really good, maybe not top 10 or anything, but I think at least within the top 15, top 20 of CS:GO teams, I think they can definitely hit that threshold. I'm not sure if they can breach the top 10 in any way. But I think that this CS:GO team is really great. I really like all their personalities. I'm surprised, at least, I don't know about you, Frozen, but I'm surprised at how quickly I've kind of bonded with their personalities and been like, oh, I love all these guys, and I want them to succeed, and I like them.
I haven't watched much of the extra content, but I did get to watch some of the game yesterday.
They actually have their own separate YouTube channel now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's like
fine,
C9 CS:GO, and they post like their own content on it now, which is really interesting.
Huh, that's something I will have to check out then. I've seen it posted onto the subreddit then, but that's about it.
Yeah. But moving on, speaking of playoffs and such, Rocket League finished out their Rocket League season 5-4, and they have actually clinched playoffs. So it was a really good turnaround for the boys in the Rocket League.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I didn't get a chance to watch it again, but maybe this weekend. Are they playing in playoffs this weekend, or
I'm
is
not
it
sure when the
next?
playoffs are. But I know last weekend they did play, and they won, and so they got their final record's 5-4, and they did clinch the playoffs, which is great considering that how much they've been struggling, how much they've been losing. I think they were, maybe at one point they were 0-4, I think, in terms of match record or something, and they were looking really bad, and now they've seemed to turn it around, and they're they kind of have the spirit back, they got that fire back, and it's really great to see, because I was really sad to see the Rocket League team struggling so much, since they've usually been one of our more consistent teams.
Yeah, it looks like this was the last week, and I'm having a hard time finding the playoff schedule. But LCS just posted a tweet.
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
I'm going to skim it really quick.
But basically, the playoffs will continue to be online, like the remainder of the season.
Okay, sorry to
No, you're good.
Digress, but that felt like it could have been important,
right?
But yeah, I'm having trouble finding the playoff schedule.
Don't worry about it. When playoffs happen, we'll know.
Oh nope, regionals is Saturday, March 28th, so that is this weekend.
Okay, sick. Well, tune in.
So Cloud9 plays Ghost Gaming at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh heck, Ghost is actually, I think, supposed to be really good. That might be a hardwood Frozen.
Yeah. That's all I think is scheduled for Rocket League.
All right. Well, keep an eye out for that then. Make sure to cheer on our
Unless they
boys
win.
in the regional playoffs. Moving on, we finally have some Overwatch League after like 3 or 4 weeks, I think, of it being shut down. I think they finally figured out a way to do things to have online matches. And I am just stoked that we have more Overwatch League because it's been a hot minute frozen.
Yeah, I thought they were playing games last weekend because I saw so many tweets about it, but I guess I could have been wrong.
No,
I
think
attention.
they had planned it to be last weekend, but I think there was some issues, and it caused them to move everything back again to this weekend. And
All right, good.
if you're an Overwatch League like addict, at least if you're in Central Time like I am, you can watch games on Saturday, March 28th as early as 3 a.m. and it not finish till 11 p.m.
Oh, so they're going hard. They're just having every team play.
Yeah, they're
Twice.
having. It looks like just about every team playing, and they have like they've given every team. I guess like the Chinese teams like the earliest match for this Saturday is Guangzhou versus Shanghai, and that's at 3 a.m. So I guess it's like done like regionally. So I guess like of course like the Asian, Southeast Asian, Pacific, that kind of region. Those teams have their own servers and they're going to be playing online there. For us, we will be playing against Paris Eternal Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then Toronto the next day, March 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So,
good.
Yeah, we finally get to see London play again. I was really just itching to see our team play, especially after we were getting a few wins under our belt. I'm hoping that the virus stuff and everything hasn't hindered their momentum, and they can, actually looking back at it, we haven't seen them play in a solid month or so. So, it's gonna be tough to, I think maybe get back in the groove of things. Hopefully, this off time hasn't hindered their practice and their strength any. But I'm hoping that the boys can at least come out with at least one victory this weekend. It'd be really nice. I believe.
Yeah, it is about time for us to pick up a win or two. Toronto is beatable, so hopefully we can at least win that game, and so is Paris. So it's not like we're playing some super difficult teams.
Yeah, it's not like we're playing New York or anything. I'm mostly just concerned about Paris, but I think as a whole, London's probably still trying to figure out like starting lineups and like who to play when, and these are all new rookie squad. This is a whole new rookie team, so they're probably trying to figure out who still works well with what. Outside of probably having like J-Mac and Glister still start every game. But yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. It should be pretty good. But moving on, we have League of Legends. What did you think of this week's 2-0 victory against 100 Thieves and CLG?
Yeah, so it was good to get the 2-0. We didn't see them expose too many strats. We just saw them go back to what seems to be a favorite, the Yasuo Gragas, which I think was both games. Yeah, we did get to see the Aurelia and Callista from the top lane and Vulcan pull at the Bard, but it seemed like the general strategy was the same. What I did find a little bit worrying was the fact that they weren't really convincing wins, and that they were more of just pedestrian wins, where they were just like, oh, I guess it's time to win now, let's win. But up until that point, it was a little bit questionable. I'm not exactly sure if that is something we should be worried about, but what do you think?
I'm of two minds about it. I think I do agree those were some pretty sloppy wins. I think that some of that may be attested to we've already clinched first seed, so at this point, whether we win or lose doesn't really matter. I think that this weekend definitely was maybe like a time to be a bit experimental. They were probably trying to see how strong the Yasuo was and if they can pull off the Gragas Yasuo comp in this meta. I think trying Callisto top was definitely something I wanted to probably experiment with, since that was maybe getting some attention. The seeing the Bard, I think Vulcan probably wanted some practice on Bard, since for the majority of this split he's been playing like Nautilus and Tom Kench, so you're shifting from playing a more of a frontline engaging type of support to more of a sort of a caster mage kind of support. So it's a very different skill set you kind of have to prepare for. So I think on the one hand they are experimenting, they're kind of playing it kind of loose, not to try to show too much or anything. On the other hand, they were kind of sloppy wins. I think that they were, on Saturday against 100 Thieves, Blabber was having a bad game, and he was getting out, getting caught a lot and taking a lot of damage. But then again, C9 didn't, they were in their games that last weekend. They were playing into some pretty like detrimental team comps to them. On Saturday they had like no front line against like a scaling frontline heavy 100 Thieves, and then against CLG, they were playing into some things that would be difficult as well. So I think that their difficulties kind of made sense, but at the same time there were very sloppy wins. So I'm hoping, at least this weekend, that like against 100 Thieves, they like our comp basically made it to where like we had to bunch up, and their comp was like, oh yeah, bunch up, because then we can just get all this AoE damage on Rumble, Rek'Sai, and Varus, and it looked like I'm rambling, but yeah.
Yeah, what I do like about it is that it does throw out a few new champions to make people worry about it come playoff time. Like if Vulcan's not been on Tom Kench duty in quite a bit, as much as he was at the beginning of the year, so he's expanding his champion pool, which is either good or bad. I think forcing teams to pick or ban Tom Kench is good, but it is good that he does get to pull out some other things to flex his muscles. But I think it's more so for the top and mid lane to show that we do have other styles. I wasn't too impressed with Lagrish's Aurelia throughout the whole game, but I think a lot of it I'm just going to chalk up to being the first online games and the fact that they were experimenting. And I don't think it has me really worried for playoffs at this point.
Yeah, I think that, we can probably take it 100 different ways, but I think that it was mostly just the team trying to flex their muscles and see what they can do, especially into some losing comps. See if they can play on a timer and just experiment. I think the good thing is our bot lane still looks really good. Sven and Vulcan, both games looked amazing. Even in, if like Licorice had a bad Aurelia game and Blabber had a bad Gragas game on Saturday, Sven and Vulcan were the rock, I think, that really tied the comp, the team together and allowed them to kind of, win.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch the Callisto top. So interesting choices all around. But I do think that Vulcan was scammed out of player of
Oh, for sure. He keeps getting screwed over, and it's not. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah,
I want him to get the little statue.
Yeah, I know. I hope they do something fun for the statues.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Everything's being played online because they can't really give them out at the moment. But I'm hoping they're still making them and doing something fun with them.
Yeah,
being all quarantined and such. I hope they do a behind the scenes episode from the LCS games where they like show what outfits they were wearing. Like, were they wearing pants? Because if I was at home not being filmed, I wouldn't wear pants. Like,
Yeah, that's
Were they
true.
wearing Were they wearing pants? Like, what did the setup look like?
Yeah, yeah, for
A lot
sure.
of good content there, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Um, I'm hoping that we do kind of get like some like they did make a video for their comms series. I'm hoping that we at least get like a behind like an on Cloud9 episode. But I guess moving on to
Oh,
next. What?
oh, you should we talk about the Players Association voting to cancel the split because his spring doesn't matter?
Uh, we could talk about that. Yeah, I think that it's. I think as a Cloud9 fan, I'm obviously going to be biased and say that that's stupid because we're in first place and we're looking very strong to win the season. I think that um part of that, honestly, I think is kind of on Riot. I think that their decision to make the spring split worthless, that's more on them. If you're worried about player motivation, you shouldn't have made it to where the spring split has basically no incentive outside of MSI, which I think everyone else also kind of regards MSI as kind of a worthless event anyway. I think if the players aren't motivated, that's on them. What's the point of even having a spring split to begin with if all that matters is worlds? I think that Riot needs to do a better job of managing the spring split to make it have some stake, to begin with, and to at least make MSI an actual event that matters, so that going to that's important. But on the other hand, I think the players are kind of in the wrong. I mean, this is your job, and sometimes you have to do things that are pointless. But if if they were in Cloud9's position and they were extremely ahead in first, they would probably vote to not cancel spring as well, because it's like, well, I want to win the championship. I put in all this work to get to first. I don't want to see it go to waste. So I think that a lot of teams, I think, are maybe just, well, we're in 7th place. Spring split doesn't matter. I don't see why I should play anymore. So I think it's a very silly situation. And I think a lot of teams are just either unmotivated or their season has already been kind of gone, so they don't feel like they need to try anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like from what was put out that the reason they were voting to cancel the split was more because it doesn't matter than the health implications based on what was put out. So I do agree with you based on the fact that essentially it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, if the goal is going to Worlds, then I think there should be some spring implications with that, or they need to combine the splits and just give them an extended break every so often. Like
Yeah.
every week, have a team or
Yeah, I
have
mean,
two teams
isn't that
off,
what
so they get a
baseball
week
does?
off.
Doesn't like baseball, don't they play from like March to like October, but they have like breaks and whatnot, like intermittent throughout the season? Or
Yeah,
is baseball just
it is
one
a little
long?
different though, because their breaks aren't very long. I think that they should do more of like extended bye weeks in football. Have like have like starting like week 4 to week 18. It would be a 20-week schedule, but teams would have a 2-week break
Yeah,
sometime between week 4 and week 16 or something.
yeah, I can see that.
Where every game matters. But going back to like the point where even though it doesn't matter in like the grand scheme of things, the players are being paid to play two splits. Sponsors are playing.
They're paid handsomely to play 2 splits.
Yeah. Um, Sponsors
I
are
mean,
paying
players
for
like,
splits.
yeah,
So, and um, coaches are being paid. Everyone's being paid to play 2 splits. Um, these first 9 weeks are extremely important weeks of development for the summer split where everything matters. So even if things don't matter, you can't just half-ass it for in 9 weeks and expect to be there for summer jacked
I mean,
up and
Doublelift certainly
and
thinks
ready to
though.
go. I mean, yeah, but Doublelift is kind of a little bitch, and some of the shit that he said would not fly, I think, with a lot of other players. And I'm really surprised that more wasn't blown up about the interview with Travis that was taken down, because even though it doesn't matter, like if it doesn't matter to you, then just sit for the split. Yeah, let someone else play. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like uh what's Team Liquid's sub ADC, like Tactful? I forgot
yeah,
his
and
name.
he
Yeah, he
played just
played great.
fine.
He would love to have a chance to like showcase more of his talent by playing for the remainder of the split. If you're gonna not have any motivation, and go through this whole thing of like, oh, I'm not really motivated because playing split doesn't matter. Well, do what you did on TSM and take a split off. I think that if a lot of players are feeling that way, just take a break. I mean, if I'm sure Golden Glue is probably paid very handsomely, and his team is like ninth place right now, and it seems like come on, you're getting paid really well, Golden Glue. You shouldn't vote to cancel the split just because you're losing. That's just you being upset.
Oh, oh yeah, and like if there's players who don't give a shit, then don't play. Like there's 10 academy teams with 50 overall players who would love to see an LCS stage and payday. So like it's part of like the job. You should want to win, because at the end of the day, a spring split win is still a win, and there are implications for MSI. Like I assume there's a prize involved with
Yeah,
going,
there's prize
a
money, and
financial prize.
I think how your region does affect seeding and whatnot for Worlds. So it kind of does matter, but it kind of doesn't. It's a weird thing. I think it's mostly because it's a smaller tournament, and that may be it. But I don't know. But I
Yeah,
guess transitioning on to next week, how do you feel about the Team Liquid and EG games?
it is a tough ending to the split, and I'm wondering how they're gonna draft and play around it. I don't really care what happens against Evil Geniuses, because I don't have any problems with them. I like most of their team, but I hope to God that FlyQuest can beat Team Liquid, and Team Liquid needs to win against us, and we just knock them out of playoffs. But saying that, I know the LCS gods are going to give Team Liquid up a play-in, or a tiebreaker that they're going to win, and they'll end up in playoffs anyway.
Yeah, I'd really
It's
like to
stupid.
see Team Liquid just get knocked out of playoffs altogether. It would be really great to see Doublelift just not in playoffs at all for once.
And Jensen and Impact,
Um,
all
I
that
think,
salary wasted.
yeah, I think that I do hope we do try hard against Team Liquid and actually play really well against them, just to beat them and just show that like, look, we can beat you. In case they do get in the playoffs, Evil Geniuses will be interesting. They did beat Team Liquid, which Team Liquid seems like a very coin flip team at the moment, and you can't really tell if they're good or not. But Evil Geniuses, it'll be really interesting. I think that if we go for something more experimental and fun, or if we go serious, it'll be interesting. Jizuki does seem to have like a limited champ pool, and he seems to struggle if he's not on LeBlanc. And I think that if you keep Jizuke and Bang behind, honestly, Svenskeren really seems to struggle when his lanes aren't really winning. And so I think that as long as Evil Genius's lanes are down, we should be able to win. I'm really curious about the Team Liquid match, only to see if we're going to go for a more for fun comp, or we're actually going to try hard and beat them.
Yeah, I think it would be the right time for Cloud9 to draft Shen, because I think everyone on Evil Geniuses can beat you except Kumo, and I think making them put all their their winning chances into Kumo is the right idea. Like, you could just beat up on him, or you could just make him beat you, and I don't think that they can win through top lanes. So I feel like Shen would be a good pick here, and just shadow mid all game and make Jizuke essentially worthless on LeBlanc or Rise or something. So I feel like if they want to make Shen work, that this is the game to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the one time he did play Shen, that was against TSM, and that was a time when you didn't want to pick Shen.
Yeah, that was a game lost in draft.
Yeah, like literally.
I do think Shen's good.
I think that if we had banned Zillion or Bjergsen picked anything other than Zillion, we probably could have beaten TSM. But that was just that was just kind of unfortunate. But that's something for us to learn if we ever have to face them again in playoffs.
Yeah, and I think if they're gonna keep experimenting, I think Shen is a good choice to go with that.
Oh yeah,
I would like to see Blabber on something other than Gragas though.
Yeah, same. I think that if we really are, it could be that we're not picking. We're only picking Gragas because Blabber has played Lee Sin, he has played Elise, and he has a much wider jungler pool than we're letting on. So I think that the only reason we're continuing to pick Gragas is that we're trying to hide some of the other jungle picks. I've heard that with some jungle buffs, like there are a lot more champions that can be played in the jungle. So it could be he's working on some niche picks, and there's a bunch of other stuff he maybe be working on. So I can definitely see us only picking Gragas simply to, hide his picks for when playoffs do happen. So that could be that could be it. There could be a lot of reasons. But this weekend should be fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing how all the teams play, just because we're either going to see some really fun drafts and we may see some really fun upsets. And since pretty much for the standings are concerned, everyone is really competing for that playoff spot since everything is so bunched together. Looking at the standings real quick, you have like a 3-way tie for second. You have a tie for fifth between Immortals and 100 Thieves. Team Liquid is in second right now. Dignitas and Golden Guardians are tied for eighth, and CLG is 10th. So you have just from second to seventh, you have just this really big bunch of this huge bunch of teams that can all easily slide into playoffs. So everyone's going to be trying to compete for their spot, and so this weekend's going to be really interesting and really fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, there's playoff implications in every match, I think.
Oh yeah,
I even think Golden Guardians technically. Yeah.
Well, I guess from our perspective, yes.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a scenario where Dig and Golden Guardians can get into playoffs too.
I wouldn't be shocked. But that would be really fun.
Yeah, I assume the logistics of that are.
You would have to make a
pretty far,
like one of those maps with the string where you're connecting everything together.
Yeah, I find it difficult where I think an 8 and 10 team could get in, but even if they did, I'm not sure it's Dig or Golden Guardians.
Yeah,
but it'll be fun. There are huge playoff implications on Sunday for our match against Team Liquid, which is what I'm most excited about. I just want to win and knock their sorry asses out of playoffs.
Yeah. Well,
but that'll be a fun game too. But
yeah. I can't think of anything else. So
no, I think that's about it. Next week will be the playoffs episode.
Exciting.
And we can discuss who Cloud9 ends up picking to play in the first round.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm not sure when that has to be finalized.
I think it has to be after Because we get a bye for the playoffs, don't we?
I'm not sure.
I thought it was that we missed the first round and we got a bye since we're first seed, and then we could pick the whatever team we wanted to play in our match.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look, but
I'm pretty sure that's how it should happen.
But there's a losers bracket too.
Right, there is a losers bracket, and since we are first seed, we are in the best scenario. In terms of
that'll be
playoff
for
destiny.
next week. We'll discuss it next week when we know for sure how it's going to play out.
Right.
I do think that's it though.
Yes, we will have stuff for next week, but thank you again for watching and listening. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at C9Bodied, and see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.